listening to Hear the Chew Bubblegum, recorded from a secret location in the city that moves mountains.
Greetings.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
What's up, bloggers?
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Here to Chew Bubblegum, episode 78. It has been a while, my friends.
It has.
Just a wee bit.
To hear that intro music, that got me going, that got my heart rate up, got me pumping. I wanted to dance, but I had several repeat text messages from Dirtydan as the intro was playing.
Goose asked for our new address, and Dirtydan sent it to him 172 times back to back.
It was 5, 6.
Thank you very much, Dirtydan.
You're welcome.
I definitely appreciate that. Before we get started, we are pre-recording this show. We will be back next week live on Twitch. This will be kind of an email special. We do have some backed up email. So we'll be answering email. We will have an interview coming up in segment 2, and then segment 3 will come out and come back and close everything out. How has your guys' break been?
Well, if it's only been a break from the show. It ain't been a break from nothing else.
Right. I know I've saw TikToks of Dirtydan under the floor. What was that? You were fixing, what was that, hot water heater?
So here's the deal. Okay, here's the deal. First of all, when we bought this house, we were under the impression that there was a well. Okay. So we've been trying
a cistern and a well. We've
been trying to find the well. Well, we couldn't find the well because there is no well. It's just a cistern. So we ran out of water one night. Like, I went to go give our daughter a bath.
I just finished a shower.
I went to go give Shar a bath, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, there was no water. And I'm like, did we run our well? I'm going to sneeze.
Bless you.
Thank you. I'm allergic to everything that grows on my property, so it's been real fun.
Oh.
But yeah, I went to go give her a bath, and there was no water. So Dirtydan calls in. Apparently, we have no well. There's just the water pump, which is under the house. Okay, and so because we ran out of water, it fell below the line. So he had to reprime the pump, and then we had to go hunt for water the next day. And so I wish somebody was there to record this whole process, because holy shit, was it a shit show. So we find the water. Okay, we strap on the water tank.
I make a few calls, find out where it is, what I got to do.
It's this sketchy alley in the middle of like Main Street or Richmond with off
Main Street.
Like this pipe sticking out of the wall, right? So you got to line the truck up underneath with the water tank, and then somebody else has to be on the ground to pop in the quarters, because you got to hold the hose so that it angles it, and it comes out with some velocity, doesn't it, Dirtydan?
Was it near the Manhattan Club?
No, it was, however, near the Mason Lodge. Anyway, but so then we get it home, and we're like, okay, now we got to figure out how to get the water out of the tanks into the cistern, right? So we stop at the barn, and we find like a black like drainage hose, and then we find what apparently he set up as some sort of PVC contraption to like get it in there. Well, we tried the PVC pipe first, okay? And instead of putting it over the other PVC pipe where you're supposed to fill it, we just decided to unscrew the whole cistern tank lid, okay? So that's this giant hole, all right? Like, I could have fit down it. And
I can fit in it.
So Dirtydan's trying to angle the thing. The thing's angled up. I'm like, no, Boo, you got to, wait a second, you got to stop. Well, we over-trusted the attachment that the PVC was in, because, again, the water came out of that tank with some velocity and shot the whole pipe into the cistern. And Dirtydan and I are kind of just standing there going, hope that's not going to be a problem in the future, because that motherfucker sank quick. So it was just a giant shit show.
Shouldn't have any problems with that. Have you thought about getting a guy that's with a stick that can find water or dowsing rods to go ahead and...
I mean, we found the water. Right. We know where it is.
Well, normally when, so have you guys ever saw old timers like get a stick and they'll start shaking it?
Yeah, the dowsing. Yeah, 100%. They're also used to talk to spirit too, right? Like the spirits can communicate and change the energy of them. But the other interesting thing is a compass will spin on our property.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, is that in just one spot or?
No.
It's in a couple different spots. Like you'll point it north and you'll let it sit and it'll stay there and then it'll go back. And then you turn and face north again. And then it will it'll spin again. Like it doesn't go back the other direction. Like it'll fucking sit there and spin.
Like it's finding true north and magnetic north.
There is no such thing as, that's not how compasses work.
Look it up.
True north is when you're doing the stars out by sea. That's true north by the North Star. Magnetic north a compass isn't going to pick up the stars.
Go ahead and look.
I will fucking Google it right now, Christopher.
Dirtydan was in the Boy Scouts, right, Dirtydan?
Yes.
Oh.
I was a popcorn.
Well, I actually cut my thumb at the cookie factory during the break. I had to have 6 stitches. It hurt. That got me behind on any putting the best of shows together. I actually had 2 of them put together before I cut my thumb. And I hope you guys have enjoyed those. I know we do have some listener email we'll get to in a moment. People talking about how they enjoyed them and so forth. That was a lot of fun going back and reliving some of that. And, it's just sound quality wise. The way that we've grown and matured in the show, I love it. I'm exactly where I need to be. What was that, Dirtydan?
Spoiler alert, there's an email about that too.
Yes, there is. And, and spoiler alert, again, we do have 2 emails from our friend Luke Fugit. And before we read the first one, I will kind of set up the backstory on it just a little bit. So while Rebecca's looking the true north up, do you want to read the first email?
Hold on a second. Let's discuss the compass thing first.
Oh boy.
Magnetic north differs from true north. Now, this is based on a globe theory, which is not correct. True north is a fixed point on the globe. Magnetic north is quite different. Magnetic north is the direction that a compass needle points as it aligns with the Earth's magnetic field. However, its position is constantly changing, and soon magnetic north and true north will align. But your compass does not pick up true north. It only picks up magnetic north.
Oh, Dirtydan shaking his head. He disagrees with that. Dirtydan.
You can disagree all you want. How is a magnetic compass going to pick up anything other than the Earth's magnetic field?
Because 30 seconds ago, you were saying it's not picking up magnetic north.
No, I said it. No, true north by the stars. It's only going to pick up magnetic north. It's not gonna bounce between magnetic north and then true north.
That's what happens when it spins, and there's compass north.
No. You're incorrect.
Well, I have a question for both of you. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
Oh, God.
A woodchuck would chuck as much wood as a woodchuck could chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood.
Good answer. Dirtydan?
What she said.
All right, we'll read emails.
Start out for us there, Dirtydan, if you don't care, sir.
All right, we got Newton writing in. It says, hello, my name is Newton. I'm a new listener to the show. The first show that I listened to was episode 73, The Best of Justin Perkins. I've since listened to the show from the beginning and I'm currently on episode 26. I listen to a lot of podcasts and talk radio shows. After the first few shows, the quality of your show rivals that of popular radio shows that I listen to. You have a real show. I'm blown away by the content, the mixing, commercials, and everything about it. New fan, Newton.
That's awesome.
Yes, it is. Thank you very much, Newton. And, and I've even said before, the first couple of shows was just me, in a room, reading stories, talking about stuff. And
in the dark, sitting on a couch upside down.
Yeah, but it shows so much growth, and it's so authentic and genuine, though. Yeah. That's why this show does so well.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Newton. Dirtydan, what did you think? I know that you're a fan of Justin Perkins. How did you like the Best of Justin Perkins?
I can listen. I've listened to that show 3 times now so far.
Really? Wow.
And then he's finally back on a spurt of actually producing more shows now on Retro Cult and Talk Junkie.
Now
TikTok confuses the hell out of me.
He is actually addicted to TikTok as well.
Oh, I know.
So he sends me links all the time. He is addicted to it.
That's what I say. His TikTok confuses me because retro cult talk junkie, and yet nothing on there is about either of those.
Oh, Rebecca, take it away, please.
All right, we got AJ writing in. Hey, here to chew bubblegum. I'm AJ. This is my first time writing in. I've listened to the show for the last 6 months. A coworker is always listening and told me about it. My question is, if you could know the truth about Roswell or Antarctica, what would you pick and why? Roswell.
Oh, very good question.
I think in finding the truth about Antarctica, you unlock the answer to everything else.
Well, and we actually have another email about Roswell. I am going to have to go the reverse way and pick Roswell, just because I think that there would be traces back there to Antarctica. Now, I think you are right. I think Antarctica would explain Roswell as well, but I think Roswell would explain Antarctica as well. And I mean, I'm blown away by both Roswell and Antarctica, but I'm going to choose Roswell.
Are you, Dan?
Well, since we're in a double conundrum, I'm just going to make something in the Magic Beep Boop box and wait for my best friends to tell me each side. So,
come on, man, you can't spaz out that way. You have to give an answer.
I did not spaz out. That was a very well collected thought.
Sure, it was for a 5-year-old.
I'm Kevin.
Oh,
I'm Kevin.
Well,
honestly, I'm more curious about Roswell than Antarctica.
You know, and I do think that Antarctica would explain Roswell, but I think that Roswell, like I said, also would explain Antarctica. But just look at all the technology that came very quickly after Roswell. I mean, it's all just.
And like the other thing is, like, Antarctica is still changing, and there's a lot more information already out there about it than there is Roswell. So I think it's just the cloud of secrecy that causes me to want to go towards Roswell more than, because I've found some very interesting, and I've had her watch a couple, docuseries or documentaries on Antarctica already.
So. Did you guys read? I think it was maybe last week or week before last that the temperature of Antarctica had rose
warmer than Kentucky.
Yes. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
Because it's warming up from underneath, because there's another fucking sun, because it's inner Earth. Those are my thoughts.
What do you think will happen if the ice wall completely dissolves? Beside a flood, obviously.
Dragons are coming.
No. Dragons.
From Game of Thrones.
But seriously, if it does melt, some, not all, but some, and it exposes structures, what kind of story do you think they would come up to explain? Well, no, these are not really structures. These are sunken ships.
They would probably defer that to the disappearance of California and New Jersey, which I wouldn't be sad about, but they'd probably have the rising sea levels, climate change bullshit hiding that, rather than talking about what's actually there. And then, 4.5 years from now, someone will go, "What are those?" And then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, well, I can see that. Rebecca, do you have anything to add before I move on to the next email?
I don't think that the ice walls are going to melt. I think that it's a constant shift, right? Like just how, like, when you boil water, like the water moves a certain way, right? So the ice is going to come out, it's going to melt. But if the earth is flat in the way that I think it is, where it's like two frisbees on top of each other, right? Creating hollow inner earth, and where the poles are, because Antarctica and the ice wall are completely separate, I believe. I don't believe that Antarctica is the ice wall. And I think that because of the way that the energy works with the aurora borealis, it's constantly creating ice. So that ice is constantly being built, and it's pushing that other ice out, which is then melting once it gets to a certain point.
That makes sense. Let's see. Dixon09 says, "Greetings, my fellow truth seekers. I hope that you've enjoyed your break. My fingers are crossed for you guys in regards to the secret project. I'm sending peace and love. During the break, have you followed some of the scientific news about planets and the James Webb Telescope? Fascinating things have been happening, Roswell, my friends. I've followed it some. I have a bunch of stuff saved that I've just glanced over. I've not read in depth and followed it as much as I normally do, for the show. What about you guys? Dirtydan's
a little busy.
Dirtydan has been very busy. We've been listen. The struggle on short farms is real sometimes.
Well, and plus, he's been hanging up drywall in the she shed.
He has been hanging up drywall in the short shit show she shack.
That it's a mouthful. Short shit show she shack.
The short shit show she shack. Listen, I've been practicing for a long time so that I can say it.
And insulating.
So Dirtydan insulated it and drywalled it, and now the rest is up to me. And I learned very quickly, mudding is not fun.
No, it is not.
I had it everywhere.
I tried to warn her.
You missed it. Oh my gosh, I was on the live while I was doing it too, and I went to because I was getting all sorts of advice from everybody. And then what was hilarious to me is a couple of the guys, right, like Hunter and Alan, and they all do this for a living, right? And they're like, I'm like, you guys are probably screaming at me through your phone right now because I'm definitely doing it wrong, right? And they're like, I don't understand why I do this for a living, yet I'm sitting here on a live watching you fucking do it. And there was one point I went to scoop it up and it fell, right? Because I had too much on the spatula. And I went to, I don't know what the fuck it's called. And so I went to pick, and I caught it, right? Like, because my mom instincts kicked in. So I caught this chunk of fuck, and I'm like, shit, it would have just landed in the bucket. So I fucking threw it back. It was all over my face. It was in my hair. It was everywhere.
I wish I'd saw that live. I didn't get a chance to see that.
All right. What did you say?
Nothing.
What did you say?
You can listen back to it and hear the Easter egg.
Was it a "You're so pretty"?
Not at all.
Oh boy.
Dirtydan, take the next one.
We got Benjamin writing in. Says, hello, everyone. I know that you've done the Truth Is Out There shows in the past, but I can't remember when the last one was. Anyway, are you still doing those, or are those a thing of the past? If you're still doing them, when can we expect the next one?
Well, let's see. Yes, we're still doing those. I can't remember the last one myself. I think it may have been probably a year ago. So those are not a thing of the past. We will still do those. No idea when to expect the next one.
Isn't it technically a thing of the past then?
Well, no.
With more to come.
Yes, well, with more to come. Correct. Rebecca.
Oh, you caught her off guard.
Rebecca, this is from Bethany. Hello, guys. What? What did I say?
You read your name.
Oh, did I really?
Because you got caught off guard. You're like, Rebecca, Bethany. Hey, guys.
Bethany. I'm reading the thing. What are your thoughts? Oh, my God. What's your thoughts on the Shroud of Turin? Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
I was hoping this was up your alley because I have no idea.
I don't know. Hold on. Yes. Let me look that up really quick.
You said that right. So you've never heard of the Shroud of Turin?
No, it's one of those things I just needed. What did you say?
I said, Dirtydan, you've never heard of the Shroud of Turin?
It's not ringing a bell. I might have, but it's just not ringing a bell.
That is the shroud that they say Jesus was buried in, and they've actually done some DNA sequencing or letter dating, and it's got his image on it, supposedly. Some people say it was a painting, or not necessarily a painting, but some kind of art that somebody made. I don't know a lot about it. I would have to do more research. I think it's fascinating that when they cut a little piece of it off and then like dated it, and it came back like it couldn't possibly be what people thought it was. Then.
So it was first mentioned in 1354.
Yeah. And then somebody else stepped up and said, yeah, but that piece that you cut off was added to. You can clearly see where it was stitched on, and somebody done that, they think, to try to preserve it. But no, I don't think and it's been a while since I've read about this. I don't think anyone has actually done another test to try to date it where the actual shroud is at. But, it is, like I said, supposedly the shroud of that they buried Jesus in and so forth. It is a fascinating subject. I don't want to give an opinion on it because I would have to do some more research on it.
Yeah, I got to do some like serious digging on it. I mean, it's interesting.
It's very interesting. Very interesting. Dirtydan, you're going to have to do some research on that as well.
Just being born and raised Catholic and everything I went through there, I'm good.
Well, even the Catholics though believe Jesus existed. So
I know. I'm good.
I believe
I'll
that.
let her do it.
I believe that Jesus, and this is how we work with like research. Like some stuff, like I'll get real, like I'll go deep into, and I'll just give him highlights, and then he does the same thing. I believe, first of all, that Jesus is an alien, like a lot of us are, right? Like that
Right.
was, if it was really a divine birth, like it was because of like alien artificial insemination. Anyway, but I believe that Jesus existed. I believe that Jesus had a message to spread. I just don't think that it's the be all end all. I think that piece of religion, that part of history is an important piece of the puzzle to look at, but it is not the whole picture. It's not the be all end all.
Right. Well, and we always say we don't talk politics or religion. I'm going to state something else before I move on to the next email. And I've said on the show before, I'm a very spiritual person. I do believe that Jesus existed. I believe parts of the Bible are true. I believe parts have been fabricated. And the way that your modern day televangelist asks for money really grinds my gears and irks me to no extent. If you have a platform like that and you're able to raise those funds, don't take care of the people that need it. Your homeless vets, your homeless people, your people struggling to pay rent and electric and gas to get to work. Do good with it. Don't hoard it up and then say, well, I've got this big $100 million house because I'm blessed. I do God's work. God's going to bless you too. Now give me all your money. That turns my stomach. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Catholic fast. Anyway.
What's that, Dirtydan?
Nothing.
All right, Goose. Next email.
Okay.
Hey. The power of Christ compels you.
Before I read this next email, this is from Luke Fugit. I'm going to read one. Dirtydan's going to read one. Before we went on break, somebody sent an email talking about a hyperdimensional resonator and how to build one and so forth. So, friend of the show, Luke, and I think in that episode, Dirtydan, you even pointed out that Luke Fugit could probably do it. So, this is Luke's email. Hey, gang, it's been a while since I wrote in. The show is still getting great, by the way. And last week's show and email had some questions about combining several inventions into one. I've been doing some research and have plans to build the HDR, hyperdimensional resonator, first and start some experiments. I'll keep you updated on the progress. Now, Dirtydan, take the second away, and this is actually an update.
So we, as you said, we have the update from Luke on it. Says I have the HDR completed. As I was building it, according to the plans online, I began to suspect that it was not what it was claimed. Some of the circuits were questionable and some even had a real risk of electrocution. I went ahead and built it with some safety modifications added, not affecting the operation. I have tried it out, and at this time it appears the only purpose it has is to make the quote-unquote inventor money. He sells them on his website for $360 for maybe $20 worth of parts. While I do agree time travel is possible, this is not the method to achieve it. I do, however, have an alternative use for it with a few more mods. That is what I'm excited for.
Okay, now his alternative that he's going to use this for a few more mods is translucid dreaming. So, because I actually, when he emailed that, I actually texted him. I'm like, hey, what are your plans? Can I talk about this on the show? He's like, yeah, please feel free to talk about it. And then he told me, translucid dreaming, that it's hard to get into that state to have translucid dreams, but he thought that this machine that he built, he could modify it and be able to achieve that, and he's supposed to keep us updated on his progress.
He's a genius.
He's the smartest guy that I have ever met, So, and I don't know when, but sometime we are going to have him on the show doing stuff, and we'll post a video So, but we'll have to make sure that we've got, all the electrical components that he needs and all that and so forth.
I feel like if him and I were to get together to just have a brainwave session,
right?
Is like I get a little spacey out there in my work methods, but it's because I always think outside the box. Sometimes just really far outside, and it works. And like a couple of guys at work are like, I don't believe that you never worked for NASA with some of the shit I do. And I feel like Luke and I could be like the redneck Mythbusters. Like he gives me Jamie vibes, and my spacey excitedness reminds me of Adam.
Right.
What are you shaking your head for?
And
you don't think so?
No.
You can be Carrie.
No.
The queen is shaking her head.
We have enough issues without blowing shit up on our property.
Rebecca, takes the next email, please.
So this is I won't read my name this time. This is from Kathy. Hello, everyone. I have a story to share about something that recently happened to me. I called someone, and when they answered, something happened to my phone, and I couldn't hear them talk. I asked if they were still there, and I knew she said yes without hearing her. Then she asked my name, again without hearing her. I told her. Then I read off my social security number to her with it still silent. The call continued this way. How do I know what she was asking? How did I do this? Has anyone else ever had this happen to them? If so, please share your story.
I have not.
I mean, first of all, without any like real context to this, I'm just going to answer vaguely, I guess. First of all, why are you reading your social security number?
I thought the same thing when I saw that email. So,
second, I mean, as far as like the phone messing up and it going silent and trying to like scramble communication, I have a whole nother theory on that. But as far as like, and again, I don't know. I mean, if you're reading your social security off to someone, I'm assuming it was some sort of like
VA or something,
like some sort of call, right? Like you don't know this person, you're just talking to them. But I have had this happen before where like I hear people's answers, like I know what they're, because you're tapping in telepathically, right? Like we all have that ability. It's just a matter of learning how to use that and learning how to control it. Yeah, I don't know. I would need way more context.
Yeah.
I mean, thanks for writing in. I mean, if you want to have a conversation about it, I would say click my clickables and come to my Telegram, and there's a fuck ton of information and people to have these conversations with.
Dirtydan, have you ever had anything happen like that?
I honestly have no idea.
I don't think that I have. But, if anybody in our audience has had a similar story, please email in and we will share that on the show with Cassie. And if you want us to, if you do share your story and you want me to put you in contact with her, put that in the email and that I can forward your email to her and so forth.
They'll have your people contact my people.
Exactly. And then they'll do lunch. The next email is from Reed, short and simple. It says, "Hi guys, I hope that you enjoyed your break. Let me say welcome back. I like the special episodes, but really missed you three. Roswell." Thank you very much, Reed.
Aww.
Dirtydan.
I was.
Don't read Dirtydan. No, just start with Steven. Don't make the same mistake. I'm just teaching you from my mistakes.
We have Steven writing in. This is Steven from the UK. I hope this finds you well and happy. It's been a while since my last email.
Just keep going. I'll go grab the charger.
I noticed that you paused a midweek moment again. Are you going to continue this? If so, what can we expect? We did pause it.
Yes.
We talked about a lot of different things. And then life happened.
We are going to continue it, and maybe, we'll do some, before the end of summer, we'll put some up and end season 2 with the midweek moment and then do some more. Thank you very much, Stephen, for writing in. I'm just glad that you did not give Dirtydan a 3-page email to read like you have done Cronkite in the past. So, yes, that is this Stephen. So, thank you very much, Stephen.
Because that's the only Stephen from the UK we've had.
Yeah. We've had people named Stephen, but not, Stephen always after he starts his out, Stephen from the UK. So as Rebecca is plugging stuff up, our next email, I will set it up. So all she has to do is read it, is from Mike Fan. So
Goose, an email was read from Mike Markham. Mike Markham, aka Madman Mike, on the show earlier this year. You said this was a real person. How do you know that? Also, I remember reading somewhere that NASA was able to see instantly or nearly instantly images that were not yet beamed back, no delay, to Earth from Mars. Do you think that this is real? What technology do you think they use to do this? And do you think it will ever be available to the public? Roswell.
Okay. I'll give you my answer, and I can tell Rebecca's busting at the seams to answer this as well. I do know that it was Mike Markham that emailed earlier, several episodes ago. I have machines at the cookie factory that can look in on people who are eating cookies, and the picture matched. I do know it was him. As far as the technology, Rebecca, take it away, because I would like to base my answers off of your response.
Writing something down. So in the meantime, what was the most
okay, go ahead.
Poorly cryptic hidden message ever, Goose?
What was?
Nothing.
I know you're talking about the cookie factory stuff. I am still on the border about coming clean, So.
Don't keep it a secret. If you figure it out, good for you.
Yeah, well, and it's easy to figure out if you realize what my real name is, and then you
just listen to the statement you made.
if you do some investigating, but while Rebecca's writing something, I will.
No, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here. Don't worry about what. Just don't pay attention to what I'm doing.
Okay.
That's the whole thing. You're up next. We're gonna pay attention.
I was waiting for you. I'm here for it.
What's your name?
No, I'm going to answer the email. I'm not reading the next one. I'm answering the email.
Yeah, she's answering.
I think NASA is complete and utter bullshit. I don't believe that space is what they've told us at all. I don't think that we are orbiting anything. None of it is real. So the fact that they were instantly able to get images back from Mars, because they fucking photoshopped them. That's where I'm at with it at this point. I'm questioning everything. It's all a lie. It's all a lie. And if the Earth is what I think it is, and the space doesn't make sense the way that it's been taught to us at all. So I struggle with anything NASA. I struggle with images from space. I struggle with all of that because I don't think that it's what they're telling us at all.
Dirtydan, what's your thoughts?
Oh, I think now that Elon owns the majority of Twitter, has the biggest stake in Twitter.
No, actually he does not. The Vanguard Group owns just a little bit more than he does.
Oh, they outed him?
Well, that's the last I had heard. It's been Friday that I read that. So,
well, damn. Because now I was hoping that he was going to start sharing some images that nobody had the right to shut him down on doing now.
Well, I am sorry that I busted your bubble. I could just tell the sadness come across your face. I am sorry.
In my heart.
Did you see the thing with NASA and Disney?
Any consoling?
No, I did not. What is going on with NASA and Disney? Are they sending kids to space?
No, that Disney, NASA and Disney are completely in cahoots. And if you look at the images that they're first of all, if you look at all of the images over the years of what they've taken of the Earth, they're all different.
Right.
They're 100% different. Nothing is comparable. And then if you look further into it, first of all, Pluto, the dog from Disney, is on the planet Pluto. It goes into this whole thing. It's all fucking fake. And then the castle, and then Epstein's Island reversed, and then the pictures on the moon. It's a whole
I have heard a little bit about that. To answer this question everything. Everything the media or the government says, question everything. I can't remember the website, but do you remember last year, Dirtydan, the pictures I'd sent you from Mars that somebody had sent to us? And the backstory on that was they supposedly got these from somebody on the inside that knew, and it showed places on Mars where you had vegetation growing. and you could clearly see it was vegetation. And yeah, and water. And these were took, what, like in the late 70s, these pictures were? And so just question everything. So, Planet 9 says, hello, Goose, Dirtydan, and Rebecca. With all the UFO cell phones on YouTube and other platforms, do you think most of these are real? Why or why not? I think the majority of them could be real. I think some are fabricated on purpose.
I think the better they look, the more likelihood they're fabricated.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, possibly special effects and Photoshop in those that you described.
Right. Well, because there's clout chasers.
Not just that, but like, you got to think they always talk about the radio and magnetic wave interference. And if these beings really are going through all that atmosphere, they're going to have that. So the closer you get, the statikier your video or picture is going to be, the more discombobulated the sound will be. Like, I think those ones that look terrible that everybody's like, oh, that's fake, are probably the real ones.
Yeah, definitely. Dirtydan, you want to take the next email?
Yeah.
I love this one.
You got Mr. Bill writing in. It says, I'm looking for a drinking buddy to go get drunk with and throw dildos at people. No weirdos, please. Well, sir, from personal experience, not quite the same, but similar.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Wait. From a personal experience, you used to get drunk and throw dildos at people, Dirtydan?
Not throw, but I did joust with a giant one.
Okay.
And
who are you?
You know this story. I got kicked out of one of those shops because of doing this, and my PSP buddy can confirm this. Yeah, you're gonna get weirdos, bud. You're gonna get weirdos. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, Rebecca, the next one is yours, and then I'll take the last one.
Mystery caller. Hey guys, mystery caller here. I apologize for not sending any calls, but will return soon. I have a question. I've been doing some research on Area 51. I believe at one time this was the primo place that held all unexplained evidence. After months of rabbit holes, I now believe that there are two Area 51s. The one we know about, and I think there is another one hidden in Alaska. Have you heard anything similar to what I believe? Until next time, Roswell, my friends.
I have heard that. I've not researched that, but I have heard that. And I've read some stuff on message boards. I think recently the UFO sighting that was crashing or taking off or landing, that the Alaskan Highway Patrol said was a commercial plane. I don't think it was a commercial plane because first they don't take off straight up in the air.
There's also no evidence of it on Flight Track or Flight Radar.
So, you know, that's definitely something that I'm going to research more. That's a very, very, very good theory. So, what's your thoughts, Rebecca?
I'm still on the whole, we are Area 51, and Area 51 is the exit, which will lead you to Antarctica.
Dirtydan, do you have anything to add to that before I read the last email?
No.
Okay. Ripley says, hey, first let me say and stress the fact that I am not psychic. With that being said, I've had visions in the past that have come true. I recently had one and want to share it with you in hopes that you'll pass it along to your audience. I see a wheat shortage coming. I recommend to buy flour. You can and will have to make your own bread. Get dried pasta and store it. It's coming in weeks. Peace and enlightenment. Thank you very much, Ripley, for passing that along to us, and we did pass it along to our audience. You can always call, text, and leave a voicemail by calling 606-373-3396, or you can email. How can they do that, Dirtydan?
You can email into us at goose@heretotbubblegum.com, dirtydan@heretotbubblegum.com, or rebecca@heretotbubblegum.com. You can always email into the show, Ned or Elliot @heretotbubblegum@yahoo.com.
And we're going to take a break, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Hey everybody, it's John the Bod, aka the Bod Father. I have a new podcast entitled Beyond the Paranormal, which is on every Tuesday night. on Beyond the Paranormal YouTube page, and we'll be streaming shortly on our Facebook page as well. If you want some information on the paranormal and cryptids such as UFOs, Bigfoot, Dogman, come and check out Beyond the Paranormal every Tuesday on Beyond the Paranormal podcast YouTube site, and also soon on our Facebook page. Keep checking back, folks. We're going to have a lot of great guests, a lot of great information. Have a good one.
Are you a horror movie fan? Yeah, I dig horror movies. Are you searching for a great internet horror talk radio show to listen to? Why, sure, that sounds quite spiffy. Then you need to tune into Deadpit.com. It's the original horror talk radio show. Deadpit is a show by the fans and for the fans. Uncensored and unbiased opinions are the goal of the show, giving fans honest reviews on new films and vintage classics of the horror genre. Make Deadpit.com your #1 horror station destination.
And welcome back to Here to Chew Bubblegum. As we continue along, episode 78, we are going to replay and present a blast from the past interview with the creepy Kentuckian of Deadpit.com. This interview was recorded and premiered on November 18th, 2020. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Here to Chew Bubblegum. I am Goose. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to a personal friend of mine. The creepy Kentuckian from Deadpit.com is our special guest on Here to Chew Bubblegum. Thank you very much, CK, for being here.
No problem at all, Goose. We go back a long time. What is it, about 14 years now? 14 years?
14, yeah, man, 14 years. And that doesn't seem real until you say it out loud like that.
Now, I was thinking back, it was right after we started the show. Thinking maybe 2006, 2007, that time frame there.
Let me see. Your first show was actually on New Year's Eve, 2015, correct?
2005.
I'm sorry, 2005.
Yeah.
And you're right. About probably 6 months later. I had listened to you guys for 6 months and finally gotten up the courage to reach out and contact you guys.
Yeah,
and
we had met over a warm KFC dinner in downtown Prestonsburg, Kentucky. And because back in those days, a lot of the Deadpit, like as far as the creepy Kentuckian and Uncle Bill, it was almost like a gimmick, like professional wrestlers or something like that. And you know, all we talked about on the show, since we're from Kentucky, we talk about, you know, coal mining and KFC chicken and stuff like that. So
Eric C. Kahn.
Yeah, Eric C. Kahn was still among us here, and, you know, before he got locked up and all that. So it was a good time. And, yeah, I mean, I'm happy to do the show. I'm glad that you're doing something creative again. I know you were making movies there for a while.
Yes,
and sometimes life gets in the way of things, and I'm glad that you're back doing something, something creative, something you enjoy.
Well, thank you very much, brother. That really means a lot to me. I'm glad to be back. I've been a lot of people don't know, but I actually started out in radio many years ago when I was actually 14, and so I've always been a fan of. You guys at Deadpit and radio in general, and I'm glad to have you on. Glad to be doing the show. The success of the show so far and the short time that we've been on has really been mind blowing to me. I want to ask you a first question. How did you come up with the Deadpit idea?
As far as Deadpit goes, really what fueled that idea was boredom. The concept of the show was based on a professional wrestling radio show that was based up in Canada called Live Audio Wrestling, which I think it was on up until probably 3 or 4 years ago. It'd been on for over 20 some years. And essentially the format of the Deadpit show was the exact same format of Live Audio Wrestling. We kind of ripped it off, but you know, it wasn't a wrestling show. It was a show based around horror movies and the horror culture, if you will. So, I mean, it evolved a little bit over the years, but you know, the concept of the show I did come up with, and Uncle Bill was kind of my cohort and still is from time to time. And yeah, I mean, we just started rock and roll in December of 2005, and it didn't slow down for quite a while there.
It just took a life on its own. I know you were talking about you borrowed off that show. You may not have realized this, but I borrowed off you guys when you guys used to do the midweek obliteration. I started out with the podcast doing like a midweek moment, and you know we'll do that every week, and I did, and I'll be the first to admit I got the ideas from you guys, you know, because that was one of your aspects that I've always loved about your show is how you're so involved with your fans. You know, and that's one of many aspects I borrowed from you guys, you know, reading listener email, you know, I mean, you know, to me, when you can do a show that people like and it entertains them and you can interact with them also, that's just a great way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's fun. Like as far as the midweek shows, that was something that just at the time, it was originally the MySpace show. This was back when MySpace was a big thing. And it was kind of used as kind of, and I think that's what you're doing now is hyping up the upcoming show later
Correct.
on in the week. So, yeah, I mean, we, I don't know how many, we're working on the Deadpit Patreon page right now. And the concept of that is everything that we've ever done is going to be on there. So in order as well. So I will eventually know how many total shows that we've done. But at this point in time, I'm not even a year in, and I'm thinking it's already around 60 shows.
Right.
So it's kind of crazy the way we were going about it at the time. But, you know, living in Eastern Kentucky, and still both of us are, not a whole lot to do around here. So I think that's part of it.
No, there's definitely not. Now, you guys interviewed a lot of guests on the show. I mean, one of my favorites that stands out that I've listened to at least probably 4 times was a John Carpenter interview.
Yes.
Who was not counting John Carpenter? Who was your favorite guest that you've ever interviewed on the show?
It's hard to pinpoint one particular guest. I mean, there's a few. You mentioned John Carpenter, which was, I mean, I've got bad anxiety as it is anyway. I've always been that way. But man, the week leading up to that interview, because Carpenter himself would probably admit to you that he can get in bad moods, and he's got kind of a reputation. So we didn't know which Carpenter we were going to get, but he was great during the interview. George Romero, the director of the Dead trilogy, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. We had an 4.5 interview with George Romero. He was awesome, down-to-earth guy. Angus Grimm from Phantasm, which is one of my favorite horror films of all time. It was great talking to him, but if I was really going to name one particular one that was personal favorite, it would have to be, it was December of 2006, so we're still within our first year. We did a interview with Bob Clark, who a lot of people may not know him by name, but I guarantee you know some of his movies.
Oh, yeah.
The reason we had him on there is he was promoting the first DVD release of his horror classic from the 70s, Black Christmas. But he would later go on to direct Christmas Story, which I'm sure everyone listening to this show, everyone out there has seen that multiple times.
Oh, yeah. There was a time I'd watch that for 24 hours straight.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and he also directed Porky's, which is another classic of a different genre as well. But he was just a really, really great guy. Had a lot. That was one of my favorite interviews, like I said. And I think that was one of the last interviews he ever did. He had passed away like less than 4 months after the interview in a car crash.
Yeah, car crash. Huh?
Yeah, he was one of my favorite ones, I think.
I actually remember that interview, and then I don't know if me and you ever talked about this. Shortly after he passed away, Howard Stern bought the rights to all the Porky's films, and he even did like a brief mention about Bob Clark passing away and so forth. But that's been, long, like 14 years ago. So
Yeah. I haven't heard anything about, like, you would think Porky's would be a remake idea that. But I remember the interview, though. He was actually, this was near Christmas, Christmas Day, if I'm not mistaken, the day that we did the interview. And he was flipping through the channels. He's like, guess what's on, guys? It's a Christmas story. So he was a really good guy, though.
So you guys did the show. You stepped away for a little bit. COVID-19 hits. You guys did like a reunion show that led up to like you guys doing the show again, on like a 2.0 version. How's things going with that?
Well, I mean, believe it or not, the show was coming back regardless if COVID hit or not. I was actually planning that anyway. Now, if Uncle Bill would have come back without the COVID, I don't know, because that wasn't originally the plan.
Right.
So my idea was I was just going to do a separate podcast, and it was like deadpit.com presents.
Right.
Sort of thing.
Now, do you realize you just used the word podcast?
Yes.
I know that used to be one of your pet peeves. You didn't like to use the word podcast.
Yeah, I mean, again, us being stubborn back in the day, we avoided the podcast word for years and years and years.
Right.
For 3 or 4 years, the show was never on iTunes. The only way you could listen to it was going to the website and downloading it. So, and that probably hindered us more than anything else, to be honest with you. So,
really?
Yes, I think that a few things that we did, just being stubborn, I mean, it's like, it's not a podcast, because believe it or not, when we started this show, I don't even know if podcast was a term.
Right.
So we used Horror Talk Radio.
Right. And which is great. I guess a couple months ago, I was watching some stuff on the YouTube page, and it was the night after the premiere of Into the Pit, the documentary.
Mm-hmm.
And Kelly said podcast, and you stopped him dead in his tracks. And
right.
It's fun now to, for me, and me and you to be friends, to look at stuff that we did back then, and then so many years later come back and look at it again, because you're like, man, look at me, Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the timing of everything, too, to be honest with you, if someone attempted to do the show that we did in 2005, 2006 today, I don't think you would be able to do it. A lot of the interviews that we got, people, whenever we told them it was a horror talk radio show, they were intrigued. Right. And then you could go ahead and say, it was internet radio. Still, I think the term podcast is around so much now. People are like, if you were to tell John Carpenter, hey, John Carpenter, big fan of the movies, I'm doing a podcast. Would you like to be on it? I just think that term, it kind of lessens what you're doing a little bit. But it's such a thing now. I mean, it's the best way to describe what we're doing, what you're doing. Everybody knows what a podcast is now. But in 2005, 2006, that was a very new term, if it was even out there. I'm not familiar with it. So,
well, you mentioned that, you were, even if COVID hadn't hit, you were going to do something. So can we safely assume that, once everything hopefully gets back to normal with the world, that you're going to keep on doing the show? That's part one of the question.
Well, for me, I mean, I'm never going to go away completely again. I can't speak for Uncle Bill, but I think for like the first time in quite a few years, both of us are fans of the genre again, and we enjoy it. So, I mean, the way that the Dead Pit Revival podcasts and our live streams is they're not really set up on a regular basis. So whenever we get the itch and want to do something, we'll do it. It's not, and I mean, in a way, I would like us to be able to do a weekly show like we were doing before, but I don't want to get to the level of, it's at one point in time, we were doing so much 2 shows a week for, you're talking every week with
Right.
very rare misses for probably 5 straight years.
Right.
So we got burnt out on that. So yeah, I mean, for me right now, I'm great with that. I'm good at doing what we're doing. But if COVID's, which I mean, I think COVID's going to be around for a while. There's nobody's denying that.
Yeah.
This whole thing's a long way from being over, if it ever will be.
Yes, it is.
But
if the world does get back to a little bit of normal, and we start having conventions and stuff again, could we see the Deadpit.com horror talk show at any conventions?
Yeah, I mean, in a couple, whenever the scene gets back to normal, if it is ever or gets more back to normal than it is now, I would totally be down for a few convention appearances. I know that we've already talked to Ken Daniels, who was wanting to do something this past fall in Louisville, which he did the Friday Night Film Fest for quite a while. But with everything happening, it didn't. He was hoping they'd be able to do it, but yeah, I mean, it's not. I don't think it's time yet for that. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be against doing appearances at shows again in some sort of limited way. I don't know if Uncle Bill, if Aaron would be able to do that, just because he's got about 17 kids. And
well, he can load the school bus up and come on down. So
yeah, we'd have to just get a couple more rooms for all those kids.
Uncle Bill Duggar, we could call him.
I really enjoyed the convention scene overall, though, and a lot of the parties that were held there, man, some legendary stuff.
I always had a blast, and there was one in particular. Hopefully, you don't care me mentioning it. I didn't give you a heads up beforehand on this.
No, you're fine. Whatever you
We
want
were
to
at, I think it was Scarefest 2012 or maybe 2011, and me and you had drove down, and Uncle Bill was coming that next day. Do you remember the one I'm talking about? So I was just kind of hanging around with you at the booth,
with
helping you sell stuff.
With me and Cody LL.
Cody LL. And this one guy comes up, and he's looking at stuff, and I'm talking to him, and he's like, I love your show. So, I have my glasses on and my hat, and I'm like, well, thanks. I appreciate that. And I ended up selling him, I think, some DVDs and a shirt. And he even had his picture took with me and you. And you remember when he walked off? I'm like, should I have done that? And we just laughed, But just, I mean, that was just some of the fun stuff, that goes on at conventions, I mean, here he thought he had met Uncle Bill in the Creepy Kentuckian, and he actually met Goose in the Creepy Kentuckian.
So that's a good thing, though, about the the radio show aspect or podcast aspect of it. I mean, unless you actually look closely, you're not really going to know who the hell you're
right
talking to.
And but I mean, and I have told that story to people so many times before, and they always get a huge laugh out of it. That's right up there with my Robert Zadar story. And
yeah, Scarefest, man, I love that show. I mean, it was one of those shows that I think it just got too big.
Yeah.
So, and the last one I went to was probably 5 years ago at this point.
Well, the last one I actually went to was that one I was talking about with you just then, and I'm thinking that was 2012.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
I'm pretty sure it was. Well, we had some technical difficulties last week and didn't get to do a show. I'm hoping to put something together, tomorrow before our big show on Sunday. Our last question of the week that we had was, what is an unexplainable event that's happened to you? And we had a great response from that. I would like to ask you that same question. What is an unexplainable event that's happened to you?
Well, the big one that I'm sure I've told you before, and I know that fans of our show may have heard, but your listeners, I'm sure they haven't, unless they're tuning in just for me. I don't know. But the home that I'm currently in was my childhood home growing up. My parents raised me in it from an infant. So I've lived in this house most of my life.
Right.
So just up the hill from my house, there is a cemetery. It's about maybe 150 yards away from the house up on the hill. And my best friend growing up, you know him, Timmy,
Timmy.
we'll just say Timmy. Yeah.
Timmy, yeah.
Which is funny. He lives right beside of me. So we talk about this from time to time, because it's probably the scariest thing that's ever happened to either one of us. At least that can't be explained, right?
Right.
So, kids growing up, we were like 10, 11 years old. This was like in the early 90s. We would often just go and walk around the cemetery, just have something to do, kick rocks, do what kids did back in the early 90s before the internet and all that.
Right.
So I believe it was like in the early summer, and quickly a quick summer storm started. The clouds got heavy, the wind started blowing, and all this. And we were headed back to the house, turned around, and we came across this old man standing at, I think it was like a World War II soldier's grave. He had a big furry, like a sheepdog, big furry white dog with him. And usually, you pass somebody at the cemetery, which we do from time to time, they'd acknowledge you or something like that. Would say, hey, waves or anything. This man just stood there staring down at that grave. And the dog really didn't do anything either. He didn't acknowledge us like we were there or anything passed by him, So Timmy and I passed by him, and, we, like I said, we get nothing at all from this man. So we're going by probably maybe 100 feet. Huge gust of wind comes along. And we end up just turning back around there, and that man and that dog are both nowhere to be seen. And this cemetery is up on a hill. That was an old man. There is no way within 10 seconds, without a vehicle or anything, he could be completely gone.
Now,
but that was like probably the craziest unexplained event personally that I've had.
Now, every single time you've told me that story, even like right now, the hair on the back of my neck stands up.
Yeah. Now, I mean, we hightailed it to the house when we saw it. I was like, what in the hell?
Have you ever thought about going back to see what grave he was near, to try to Google and see if you could find a picture of the guy, or, just from the name on the grave or anything like that?
I never tried to Google it, but we did go back. There's a video that I had shot with my dad. God, this has probably been 12, 13 years ago, where we were walking up around it, and I videoed it so I could go back and probably Google it at that point. I never thought about doing that, but yeah.
Yeah, you might be surprised. You might find a picture of the guy,
I'd really freak out. I wouldn't be able to sleep then. Oh, gosh.
You are on here to chew bubblegum, and we do talk about UFOs and time travel and other dimensions and stuff along those lines. Have you ever saw a UFO?
No, I wish I would have, because I've always been very interested in that sort of thing. And I do believe that they exist in some form.
Right.
But as far as UFOs and aliens and all that good stuff, I've never experienced anything personally. But growing up, though, I mean, man, Unsolved Mysteries Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. The Sighting Show, it was like a syndicated show back in the day. Big into the Art Bell show, which I know you are too.
Yeah, I'm
Coast
a huge
to Coast.
fan of Art Bell.
Yeah. So always been into that sort of thing, but yeah, I personally, I've never experienced anything like that.
Well, on the last show that we did, we talked about the train versus UFO incident that happened in Paintsville, Kentucky in 2002. Are you familiar with that?
Just from what you said on the show, I checked the show out. And I mean, I think ultimately, like, that's something happened that night for sure.
Yeah.
I think a lot of events like that are all based around something that really happened. But I mean, as far as in particular, if it was a UFO or what, who knows?
Right.
We'll probably never find that out.
Right. Well, and I'll tell you off the air. I do have a Freedom of Information request act in, seeking information on that. I've not heard back yet, but with things with the mail and the virus, I was told it would be a while before I get anything back. Mm-hmm. So I am, that's like a little investigation I'm doing with that. And I totally agree with you. I think that something did happen there, because there was hold on one second there. Mercedes was trying to FaceTime me. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna keep recording here in texture. We'll pick back up.
What did you end up using to edit? Are you editing everything on your phone?
No, I'm doing it on my MacBook. My big fat fingers, man. I had to just go.
Oh yeah, you told me that.
I had to do that. All right, let me pick back up here. So, okay. But I do have a Freedom of Information request in on that incident, and I am doing an investigation on it, and I will keep everybody updated on that. But I'm like you. I do think that something did happen there, because there was just to me, there was too much detail in that story, and I had found through the course of my investigation a similar story that happened in Indiana, years earlier. So that just wasn't the first time.
I'd never heard of that before, though. So you definitely informed me on the incident in Paintsville. I had no idea about that.
I also mentioned on my last show, this is an incident that I want to talk to you about, because I feel you may have a little insight on this, or not necessarily insight, but you're technical. You know technology. In Pikeville, Kentucky, on October 16, 2012, this story made local and national news that there was 2 rods spotted. Rods are basically UFOs that look like light bulbs, the big fluorescent light bulbs. Mm-hmm. But it was went on to say later that those were internet balloons. I didn't even know what an internet balloon was until I looked it up. Are you familiar with an internet balloon?
Yeah, I mean, kind of. Like, I don't know if they were, like you said, this was in 2012, right?
12, yeah. This was like 8 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to look that up. But I know, like, they use the internet balloons basically look like mini hot air balloons or whatever. Okay. And they use them for internet access in like more of the like a rural parts of the United States. So if it's in Pike County, not necessarily Pikeville, I don't know if you'd said it was Pike County or Pikeville.
No, it was in Pikeville. I think it was sited up near the airport. Okay. So that's close to the Floyd County line. So you think back in 2012 in Eastern Kentucky, they could possibly have been using those in our area, correct?
It's possible, but I would think if someone saw that, that would be the furthest thing from their mind if they thought that was a UFO, because it's just like, it looks like a little balloon.
Yeah, well, the pictures of these, and I'll have to email or text these to you. These do not look like balloons; they look like rods.
Okay.
And if you're familiar with the UFO term rod, that's what they look like.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, I don't think that would be internet balloons, just because that doesn't look anything like what you were saying. So. Well,
that's what I was thinking too. Plus, I mean, you're more technical than I am. To me, if somebody's going to be testing stuff in a rural area, we are a rural area. Why would they come here and do that in 2012? 8 years ago, when they're just now starting to put these out.
Right. I mean, you got to think too. In 2012, I mean, that's 8 years ago. So. I mean, the only thing I can think of is if it was internet balloons, it was near the airport. Maybe they provided the internet access to that airport.
Right.
Possibly.
Well, but there's nothing of the airport coming and saying, "Oh, these were internet balloons."
Okay. I don't know. That's just that'll have to remain a mystery for now.
There's no FAA logs or anything saying that there's going to be those internet balloons. I just thought that was interesting and wanted to get your opinion on that. All right, Roswell, do you think that it was extraterrestrial or a weather balloon?
There's no way it was a weather balloon. And I've always thought this because I've kind of followed this case. Well, not hardcore like you.
Right.
But I've seen, the TV shows and the Martin Sheen movie on Roswell. Great movie, by the way, if you've never seen it. But there was definitely something that went on there that was of unknown origin at the time. And I've always thought that. So as far as retracting the story from the newspaper, I think that the federal government had somebody do that. That's just mine.
And I totally agree with you there. All right, their next question. Do you think that there's humanoid life out there in the universe? Not just, plants and vegetation and stuff like that, but like humanoid life forms in other galaxies, other universes?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that it's more likely there is, just because, this is only just one planet. So, aliens, as far as being the little green men that you see in the movies, and, I mean, I don't know if that's the case or if they could just look like grasshoppers or what. I do think that there's something else out there that we, and here's my thing. Here's what I'm thinking too, because you have all kinds of people that say, "Oh, in the era of cell phones and all this, how come we don't have more definitive proof, right?"
Right.
So it seems like more sightings came out back in the day than more recent. So I don't know if the aliens themselves can sense, the technology that we've got, and just don't, for safety reasons, don't come around as much anymore.
Right.
Or what. But, I mean, it seems like a lot of, and you were mentioning this, I think, on the last show, a lot of technological advances took place after Roswell.
Yes,
pretty quickly after it, too.
Yes, they did.
So, yeah, I mean, something that we may never find out exactly what, as far as what exactly happened in Roswell, or if there's maybe the government, they don't want to have us worried or whatever it is. But definitely, I think that there's something else out there aside from, us Earthlings here.
And I totally agree with you. And I've said this on the show, I think there's two different types of UFOs. I think there's an alien type of UFO that actually contains people from other planets. And I think we have UFOs that actually contain humans that we've manufactured ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I mean, that's very interesting. Like I said, as far as the UFOs go, I think at this point, our technology has gotten so good that if they were real, or if they are real, they realize it's too dangerous for them to, make as many landings and touchdowns here on Earth. But yeah, I mean, as far as like a lot of the fighter jets and I mean, a lot of stuff, lithium batteries, maybe even. So I think a lot of that stuff probably came from that in New Mexico there.
Yeah. And I read an email on the show about a guy that was in the military that didn't want to give his name, and he basically said, whatever you can imagine, our government's got it. I know that guy, and I'm going to try to get back in touch with him. He was originally going to do an interview on a show, and then he didn't want to, and then he just told me he would. I emailed him some questions, and he emailed me, and I hope to have him on again. But some of the stuff that he has told me is just mind-boggling. I mean, it is stuff that you would think that we have, in the movies. But when you compare some of the stuff that he's told me to some of the stuff in like some of the Reagan diaries, it is like one for one, spot on. So,
yeah. So I mean, it's interesting as far as the aspects of your show and all the different topics you can cover. I mean, yeah, that's a big one for sure.
Yeah. Well, folks, I want to thank our special guest, the Creepy Kentuckian, for joining us. You can check out CK and Uncle Bill, ST3B, and the rest of the guys over at deadpit.com. Thank you very much, CK, for being here. Is there anything you want to plug or say before you go?
Not really. I just want to thank you for having me on here. It's definitely a different sort of topic that I don't discuss quite as often. But if you're a fan of horror movies and classic movies and modern movies, check out our website over at deadpit.com. We've got stuff on there all the way back from 2005 and on, videos, podcasts, whatever you want to check out. So, but thanks, Goose, for having me on your show.
Oh, thank you very much for being here, and I look forward to having you back on sometime.
No problem at all. If you ever want to do a Bigfoot show, I'm down for that.
All right, but definitely. We've actually got some emails and stuff about that, so I'll definitely get up with you on that.
The Patterson Gimlin one in particular has always been very intriguing.
Okay, I'll have to start doing some research on that one.
Yeah, well, it might take a while. There's a lot on that, but yeah.
Okay. Well, I've got a lot of time on my hands right now. So
that's the
situation I'm in. Yeah. So,
and start investigating.
I definitely will. But thank you very much again. And that's CK from Deadpit.com.
Goose and Dirtydan. Give the guys a break. They're not that bright.
I want to thank everyone for listening this week. I want to remind everyone to check out upcoming episodes of Mingo Moments. That used to be
Mingo Moments.
Yes, used to be.
We got Mingo Moments, and we also do we do Flocker Flicks now. We do like little watch parties and stuff. So go check out my Buy Me a Coffee. Click the clickables. Everything, all of my information is in there.
I would like to suggest They Live for your next watching party.
They Live. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can do that.
Also, Cooking with Dirtydan and the Shipwreck Show. Be sure to Dirtydan. I'm gonna turn it over to you real quick for these next ones here.
As you almost read it?
Yes, as I almost read
it. Rebecca. Kathy.
Hi.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
As we are coming back, still, nobody wants to be the message spread about them. I don't understand it.
That's fine. We're not going to chase people anymore. Yeah. We're not going to keep speaking on it. Just continue.
So be sure to go check out Carbon Capture Shield company from our dear friend DJ Nikki. See everything they're doing. The X Prize announcement is coming out next week. So, keep your fingers crossed. Let's see what that kind of greatness that can bring us. And carboncaptureshield.com. Check them out. Show your support. Don't forget, Adventures with Purpose. You can check them out on YouTube, Adventures with Purpose, or their website, adventureswithpurpose.com. And also Till Valhalla Project. The thing Goose struggles with most, go out to tillvalhallaproject.com. TVP team, go give them a shout out and support. That's it.
Awesome. Can I do a shameless plug?
Yes, please go ahead.
Can I do a shameless plug? If you want to follow the adventures of Dirtydan and Rebecca, follow short.farms on TikTok. Yes. I also have a Buy Me a Coffee set up for that too, so that I can share more fun stories. But we're documenting our journey on building the farm and fixing stuff up and failing at some things and getting the animals in and all of our progress and learning to homestead and all of that. So if you want to follow along and learn with us, check that out. Short.farms.
And before we started recording briefly, this is a teaser before I close stuff out here. There could be a possible Here to Chew Bubblegum documentary coming your way. I want to say special thanks to Carlin for all the voiceover work. Be sure to check out and support our friends of the show that have their own shows. I'm talking about CK and Uncle Bill over at Deadpit.com. Talk Junkie with Justin Perkins, Jordan Brad of Down on the Holler, Seth Amberg at Seth's Daily Podcast, Elliot Gertie and Beagle of SpookyFamilyPodcast.com, the Mountain Mysteries Podcast with Chris Sloan. And if you're a fan of Cronkite, he's now hooked up with Snowman and Large Marge over at Paranormal Trucker on YouTube. Dirtydan, you have your hand raised. Go ahead, my friend.
Talk Junkie with Justin Perkins or Retro Cult Podcast with Dingy Dave, Dirtydan's cousin.
There you go. Also, don't forget about Beyond the Paranormal Podcast with John Marshall. You can hear that and see that every Tuesday on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And if you want to awaken more, be sure to check out Rebecca Short on TikTok and Twitch. That'll do it for this week. We'll see you next week. And until then, so long for now.
Maybe I'm not leaving. Maybe I'm just going home.
Flocker out.
Thanks for listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum. Tune in next time as we dive deeper into things the government doesn't want us to know.